got the big west set came and then north one, and we were going this one, and we go, no, it's swinging that way, and then we got rattled, and then it smashed me again, and I basically got knocked out. I got my board hit me under here, and I got like 30 stitches under my chin.
Whoa.
I'm taping up my face. I'm going in the comp.
So you taped up your face?
I put like all this tape
What, the
on my
footy
chin.
player thing right round? Where do you see women's surfing go in the future? At the moment, I think that women's surfing is sort of like going at 45 degrees and the men's is at about 30.
Stop the heat, like,
no way, stop the heat.
In the middle of the heat, come in, we're sending the men out.
Welcome to the Green Room, your backstage pass to the world of surfing. I'm your host, surf MC and commentator Terry Tappa, diving into epic wins, crushing fails and wild stories with surfing's biggest names. So wax up, paddle out and join us in the Green Room, where the surf chat never goes flat. Today's guest I've known since I started commentating events back in 1997, a Queensland and Australia amateur champion, once making the tour, Rookie of the Year in 95 and 2 times runner-up for the world title in 97 and 98. I always remember Serena as the most stylish, radical surfer on tour, but also as a rad chick who was always fun to be around. The ever-smiling, always friendly Sauce had a great career and now the mum of twins living the dream in Noosa Heads. Recently, she also captured a silver medal at the World ISA Games in the over 40s with Irukandjis and winning bronze. Always love catching up with Serena anytime, but a real pleasure to welcome her to the Green Room. Welcome, Serena.
Yeah, thanks, Tappa. Happy to be here.
Let's get it started with Sauce. I always thought because you're such a saucy chick, babe, but
it's definitely not from that.
No.
It was my first year on tour, 1995. I didn't know anybody, and I was putting tomato sauce on everything I ate, just on white bread plain. On I don't know. At the time, I was obsessed with it, so I literally just put tomato sauce on everything I ate, and then people started going, well, you're kind of saucy and you put sauce on everything. So Sauce, that's your name. And I was like, no, don't call me that. Let's not my nickname. And then, you know, other people that were on tour, they were like, oh, that's Sauce. And it just stuck.
Yeah, that's how
never got rid of it.
Yeah, that's Tappa. Someone called me Tappa and then it just keeps going. Now, it's pretty close. I've always known you as Calandra's favourite daughter. But I keep seeing these things where, you know, you do a little research and, it says from Coolangatta, but it's been a long time since you've been in Coolangatta.
Yeah, I lived down here for about 15 years when I was doing the tour. I built a house in Cooley, actually. So I was down here for a fair while, probably about 15 years while I was doing the tour. I wasn't even in the country that much, but, I had a base here and was living down here. But, did a bit of a stint down here, but I'm back up. I was born in Nambour on the sunny coast, so back up that way now.
How was it growing up on the sunny coast as a young girl? You start Caloundra, was it?
Yeah, Caloundra. I was in Wind and Sea Board Riders, and there was like me, Joel, Parko. But I had my little gang of boys that I hung out with, and a couple of the older girls, but not many girls surfed then. So it was just sort of me and the Groms, and I had a great time. The Wind and Sea Club, made, no one in my family. My elder sister surfed a little bit, but, Joel's dad, Brian, he was basically like my dad. So he'd take me on all the surf trips to, the Easter Classic and all those kind of places. And we'd always go up DI and everything. So it was pretty rad growing up there, actually. I had a great time growing up there.
So as a Grom, like a lot of your compatriots and you were surfing with the boys a lot of the time, that must have pushed your level a lot. Yeah,
definitely. Well, we didn't really have that many girls at all. So for the girls divisions, I'd just go in the junior boys or whatever and win and see, and everyone would be laughing if I beat the boys. They'd be like, you got beat by a girl, Joe, you got beat by a girl, or whoever it would be,
So you beat Parko?
Yeah. Well, he was a Grom though. He was younger than me. But, it was just like a bragging rights to say, they beat the boys or whatever. But obviously there wasn't enough girls in the clubs back then, but now you go surfing and there's so many girls. It's awesome.
It's amazing. Yeah, it is amazing the number of women out there in the water and young girls. But, that's what I do at Burleigh Board Riders and did back when I was in M&M. The good girls make them surf against the boys and it sort of lifts their level.
Definitely pushes your level.
Yeah, and bruised egos from the boys. They don't like it. Now you won the Queensland and Australian titles at a pretty young age. Is that when you sort of started it, you're thinking that you're going to be a pro surfer, or?
Yeah, I can't even remember when I won the Queensland title. Seriously, it was a long time ago. But I remember I was about 16 and I went to a Wendy Botha surf camp. She did a surf camp up in Noosa. And I just got my first job at Beach Beat. And I remember in Caloundra because they sponsored me for boards and that. And I remember standing there like looking at the TV and kind of straightening up T-shirts and stuff. And I was like, oh, is this life as an adult? Is this what it's all like? If this is life, I am not interested in this shit. This is boring as hell. You know, was like, I'm going to be a pro surfer and that's it. I just like went, nah. And it was also because Wendy Botha started sending me postcards from tour. So she sent me one from J-Bay. Was like, hey, Grom, you're going to come here one day. You should do the tour and whatever. And I was just like, oh, my God, like, look at that. I got a postcard from Wendy Botha and think she was world champ at the time and it was in Africa and there was rhinos and stuff. And I was like, I'm going to do that. And then I had no plan B. I was just like, I'm doing the tour when I finish school. And I put all my time and energy into that and just focused on that. And that's exactly what I did. I pretty much finished high school and just went on tour.
Well, like you did finish high school. You, like Stephanie Gilmore, went on grade 12. A lot of the kids now do homeschool or they don't finish school. Do you reckon that was pretty good for your upbringing, actually finishing grade 12 and sort of having a normal life with normal friends and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, well, definitely. We didn't have really homeschooling and that then. And I did grade 12 twice.
Twice?
Yeah, because I was always a year ahead. I'm one of 6 kids. And when I was in preschool, my mum, I think I was number 5 and she had another one 11 months later and was like, so she lied and said that I was a twin of the sister above me that was 2 years above me and just shoved me in school. I don't know how old I was, 4 or something. Yeah. And then they kept me back in preschool and then I still was a youngest, like too young.
Yeah, because you were born in January. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, all the way through to grade 12. And then they said, we're doing the world Australian team over to the US and Hawaii next year. And I said, I'm just going to repeat and get on the team then. And then I'll be in my right year anyway. So I had wagged like probably 6 months of the first year of grade 12. So I just did it again and then I was in my correct year anyway. So
did you go to school at Curramundi?
No, I went to Caloundra State High School.
Oh, right, because that school at Curramundi there, that's like right next to Ann Street.
Oh,
how could you go to school?
It's I know. That's where Parko was wagging all the time when he was a grom.
They just have to walk down to Ann Street and go, Parko, come in and come to school.
Yeah. No, yeah. So I definitely finished grade 12 and it was obviously it's a whole nother world now with the kids and what they're doing. And I mean, I didn't even start surfing until I was 14, you know.
Wow.
Yeah. I was living in the country like
and 2 years later. 2 years later, you won the Australian title or something? Yeah,
well, within a year, I was like travelling and doing all the junior comps. I just picked it up really quick. I mean, I wasn't great, but I was like good enough to make the Queensland team and all that stuff. So I just picked it up really quickly and I loved it. So, yeah, just took off.
Now, mate, you hit the tour in 95, finishing 13th and winning the Rookie of the Year. Now, did the 13th requalify that back then or did you have to do the QS again?
Well, back then there was no QS. It was you went in the trials. So I got Rookie of the what was that year?
95.
95, yeah. I think the next year they cut it off and it was top 11. It used to be that you had to get past the quarterfinals. Like the girls were seeded into the quarterfinals. So to break into the tour, you basically had to go through all the trials, get into the main event, then knock out the girls that were all seeded into the quarterfinals. So it was almost impossible. It was like someone had to retire to get on tour. But I ended up going through all the trials and then I ended up winning Hossegor as a CT. Yeah. But, you know, it started off you like way down here and you got to get through all the trials to even get into the main event. There was no QS. So I basically broke in by, I think one person retired and I ended up winning events, like going through all the trials, knocking out people that were seeded into the quarters, which were all the top 8 girls. And then that's how I got in, it was pretty hard back then to get on tour. So I had to win events. So I won Hossegor,
Sounds like it was harder to actually get off tour than to get on tour.
They were very protected back then. The men and the women were, but obviously now it's the opposite. So it was quite hard to break into. And then when they did transition and have the QS tour, you know, it was just you had to surf big waves. Like I was from Caloundra and we had like Haleiwa. There was a 6-star at Sunset Beach. So if you didn't do well in those big spots, then you didn't get on tour, you know. So I remember first paddling out at Sunset and I'd never surfed like a 7'10" board or anything like that, and I was like trying to warm up to do the 6-star out there, and I was paddling, and I remember people going, "Man, you can't, I don't know how you're making the drop, but you've got to paddle halfway down the face. Stop just paddling and standing up at the top. Like, you're going to kill yourself." And so even that, just getting used to the bigger boards, and you've actually got to paddle like basically halfway down the face, so you're actually on it, so you don't just get blown off the back. So it's a steep learning curve for me. But I spent a fair bit of time in Hawaii and worked it out, and yeah, all worked out.
Yeah, that sunset's pretty intimidating too, because you can sit in that channel all day if you want. But to get a wave, you've got to go in where you're going to cop those sets, or a west set.
I actually got that's exactly how I did it. I was with Parko, and we were chatting out there, and it was a really big day, and I tried to get Rochelle and Megs and that to come out with me to warm up, and they're like, "No, we don't want to deal with it." And I was going, "I'm going out." I was frosting, and we were sitting there talking, Parko and I.
You wouldn't have a chat, would you?
Oh, God, the big west set came and the north one, and we were going this way, and we go, "No, it's swinging that way." And then we went out, and he just scraped under the side of it, and it hit me. And I was like, got rattled, and then it smashed me again, and I basically got knocked out. I got my board hit me under here, and I got like 30 stitches under my chin.
Whoa.
I kind of went unconscious. I woke up, I was like choking on my teeth, or my back molars, like chips of them. And then I kind of got washed in, and Hedgie and Neil Ridgway, I think it was, pulled me in, and I went to the dentist. Malia Jones' dad, he was a dentist in town in Honolulu, and I got my teeth somewhat fixed up at the back molars and got my 30 stitches under my chin, and then I ended up it was a contest still at Haleiwa, and I was already into the quarterfinals, and I got up in the morning, and I was with Tom Cervase at the time, and he's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm going in the comp. I'm taping up my face. I'm going in the comp." And
so you taped up your face?
I put like all this tape
on my chin. What, the footy player thing right round?
No, I just taped it all up here. I was off my head. I don't know what I was thinking, but I was just a nutcase back then. And so I just taped it all up, and it was the ASP doctors and that were just going, "What are you doing?" No, I can't surf. And I was like, "Bullshit. You can't stop me. I'm in the quarters." And then I went out and I made it to the final.
Wow.
At Haleiwa, it was like 6 foot, and then I ended up just going, "What am I doing? What the fuck am I even doing right now?" And I just caught a wave in the final and got fourth in the final. And went, that's all right. 6 starts, good result.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was a nutcase. But yeah, I've got photos of me with this taped up chin paddling out at Haleiwa. It's hilarious.
Wow.
30 stitches under there and my smashed teeth. But
that's a fast transition.
Yeah. Well, I was in that, like, going for the world title. Yeah. And I was like, nothing stopping me. And no, I'm in the main event. I'm already in the quarters. I don't care about my 30 stitches and my smashed out teeth. I'm going out.
Now, 97, 98, you're runner up. But how was it? You were right in the middle of the Beachley era.
Yeah. It was 98, 99.
Oh, 98, 99, sorry.
Yeah. And, that was bloody stressful, to be honest, because I just was I had all American sponsors at that time, and so when I wasn't on tour or doing a QS, I was on a boat trip. Like, it was whirlwind of a few years, I think. And then in 2000, I got third. So I was in the top 5 for like 5 years, solid, going for the world title. But I mean, it was good, but it was stressful at the same time. And I had to learn to just like not have my whole life revolve around the ratings sheet, and you'd get the ratings sheet, and it was all. Yeah, nuts. But I mean, I had a great time, but it was a really, really busy period of my life too, as well. And definitely, I wish I knew what I know now. Like, while I was going for those world titles back then, all the mistakes and things you make. And but yeah, it's still a great time. I had a hell time.
Who were the girls that pushed you back in the day? Like the girls on tour that really pushed you, or competitive wise?
Like some of the young ones, like even like Mel Bartels, who I was competing with. She just turned 40, so she won the ISA over 40s. And then there was like Lisa Anderson was ripping, Michelle Ballard, all those girls in like big Hawaiian
and Megan
backhand barrels. Megan, traveled with her a lot. Everyone sort of had their real strength, like Kayala when it was big barreling, like those OP boat trips we did with like the Irons brothers and Sonny Garcia and all those guys. Like Kayala, 8 foot no can do. He's just stacking. I remember being in a heat with Kayala at Chopu. I got second there one year at Chopes to Kayala, and it's in one of the movies, one of the girls' movies we shot, and this dirty big closeout came because it was just north and choppy and like 8 foot, and I had priority, and she was looking at me like, you want it? And I was like, I don't want anything to do with that. It's just a straight closeout. And she's like, I'm going, and she'd just go and pull in the closeouts. And she was a nutcase. And she's one of my mates now. Like, she's just the stuff she's charged at Chopu, toe in and jaws and all that.
Stuff,
she's just on another level. So for Kayla for like massive, just packing giant tubes and that, and Rochelle and all those guys. Chelsea Hedges too. Like, she was
Chelsea
really
loves
good.
a barrel.
Oh, massive cloud break we got for the Roxy Pro over there a few years in a row, and she was really like massive standout, just charging huge cloud break.
Well, you were amongst the first group of girls to actually surf a contest at Chopu, and there's one wave I remember. I was watching it online, and I went, I think you needed a small score.
Oh, is that the one I tried to a floater?
A floater on dry reef.
Oh,
tell us about that one.
God, yeah, that was. I needed like a 2 or something,
yeah.
And I just took off, and I saw the end section. I'm like, look, it's dry, but fuck it, kind of the end of the heat. I want the score. I want to get through, know. And I just I think an airdrop, did some rock and roll floater into the flats, and then basically, I think Poto was on the ski, tried to come and get me.
Yeah.
And I stood up and I was in shin deep water, and there's like a giant set coming, about to break on my head, and I had my board, and the ski tried to come get me, and then there was no water. He was like, get off, and I was like, oh, fuck. So I had to let go, and he drove off on me, and then I was literally left in like this much water.
With a big, how big was the whitewash?
Oh, there was just like a big double up about to break on me, like a 6 foot double up. And there was nowhere to go. So I got my board. I think I was riding like a 6'3", and I just stuck the nose into the reef and just held on for dear life. Yeah. And I came up, and the board was like where it was still in the reef, the nose. And I just got smoked. I had like cuts all over me and hurt my back. I think I had to go to hospital and get I did actually. I went to the Papier hospital and there was no like scrubbing reef out of my back, but
because I saw it online and I just went,
what's she doing? Look, I think I buckled at the last section, like I hit a bit of dry reef or something, but if I made that floater, I would have got through the heat, so.
Yeah.
But I told you I was a nutcase. I was like, I would have done anything to get through a heat back then.
You always liked a bit of fun now. Now, everybody's always having a bit of fun at events. Do you think it is important, like, in between events, just to let your hair down and have a bit of a good time?
Yeah, definitely. The tour these days is just like chalk and cheese to when I was on tour. For sure to I'm not saying, write yourself off or any of that. No. Like, it's definitely, it was another extreme back then to where it is now. But for sure, it's like having work-life balance. You got to
I remember one night I took you and about 7 of the girls up to Surfers Paradise working at CFM, and we're going, I said, I know everyone, we'll get drinks. And I went up there, and I remember going to the door going, g'day guys, I've got the girls from the World Tour. And the guy goes, we'll let you in on one condition. I go, what? And he goes, how'd you do it? Because I was like, here I am with 7 gorgeous surfer girls, and they're just going,
I think I remember, there's photos from that night. There was all those flaming shots on the bar.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, that was in Cooley another night. When I lived in Cooley.
Yeah, we've had a few.
Oh, God. Yeah.
I don't drink anymore, though, by the way.
Yeah. And I barely drink. Like, I have 1 or 2 drinks and that's it.
It's funny when you're getting older, you find that's a little bit of a noose around your neck having a drink. It's sort of like great to wake up clean in the morning.
It affects you. And you're a bit older and wiser.
Yeah,
you just, most of the stuff that I look back on that I did, and I just go, oh, my God, how am I even still alive? Like, so many things, and just, around the world, it's in so many situations.
Close out floaters at Chopu, though, I reckon. That sort of takes that one. Now, look, honestly, you were one of the most marketable women on tour back in the day, and you made the most of sponsorship. You even had sponsorships outside surfing, like Bud Light and that. How did that all come about? Did you have a really good manager, or was it just the power of the source?
It's a bit of both. I remember I rode, it was Peter Townsend, then Lisa Anderson. They got me sponsored by, I had 2 contracts that initially I was riding for a company here in Burleigh called Surf Girl. That was my first year on tour. And then I had a company in Europe that wanted to sponsor me, Carter Beach. And then I had Peter Townsend, because, Lisa Anderson scoped and be like, this chick's really good, you should sponsor her. So I got Rusty in the States, and then I had an American manager, and I ended up being sponsored by Ford Trucks.
I remember that. Ford, you're one of the first girls that had a car sponsorship.
Yeah, I had Ford Trucks, and then And then I got flown out to Missouri to meet. They didn't have anyone on the team, the Budweiser crew, and I met them and just went, because they showed me some ad campaign. I was sitting on like this giant table with all these executives, and I didn't care. They'd flown me out. Then I wasn't sponsored by them yet, and they're going, "What do you think of this?" And they showed me this cheesy ad, and I was like, "Oh, that's super kooky. Like, what are you guys doing? No way!" And I just roasted them on it, and they're like, "Oh, well, what would you do?" And I was like, "Oh, well, you do this or do that." And they were like, "We really like her." And then I got sponsored by them, and I was sponsored by them for 8 years.
Wow.
Even when I finished the tour, I was still doing trips for Budweiser to, Tahiti and everywhere, just making we used to make all these, there was like me, Benji Weatherly, Sean Moody and Fred Patasha. So that was the crew, and they'd just fly us around and we'd make like movies for them to play in the bars in the States. Yeah, so I did, and I had Vans before they really did apparel. So I had some really good sponsors back in the day.
Well, that probably helped because the money wasn't that good on tour for you girls back then, was it? Like
No, it wasn't.
That Girls Can't Surf movie actually really shows what it was like for a lot of years.
Well,
now,
that was just before my time, that Girls Can't Surf era, and it did sort of change, through the 90s.
Yeah,
that
you girls
whole
sort of busted
Blue
the
Crush,
grass,
boom. It was booming, I think it was about 10 girls surf magazines, standalone magazines.
Yeah.
We were doing movies and trips and everything, and it just, the whole thing sort of shifted, but it's definitely a boom period. I think I was sponsored by a Japanese wetsuit company too, so I'd always go to Japan. It was just, I looked at my schedule one year and I had 18 WCT events. That's how many events we had.
18,
we had
so
3 in
much money.
Australia. Like we had the Goldie here, we had Bells, we had the Coke Classic in Manly, then we had 2 in Japan, then we had Brazil, we had Africa, we had Tahiti, we had 3 in Europe. So you had Lacanau, Biarritz, and Hossegor. You always had the 3 over there. There was just, 3 in Hawaii. Like it was 18 CTs to go to, and then it was hectic schedule, but some crazy hell times. And I was still doing the junior events. Like when I was on the championship tour, I remember I stayed with like Shane Dorian and Conan Hayes with Dragon down in Bells, and I was had done the CT at Bells, and then I was staying there doing the Billabong Pro Junior Series as well. So I was like doing the junior series,
double teaming.
And I was on the CT and still doing some of the because whatever it was under 21 then.
But how did the other girls think again? Hey, you're on the CT. Piss off.
Beat it. Well, I was like, well, I'm here anyway.
Yeah.
I'm at Bells, and there's a pro junior here, and I'm in the age group, so I'm doing it. I'll just make a bit more cash, whatever,
Yeah,
but
why not? There was a lot of cash in the pro junior back then. Like
there was
I got to
a
say,
lot of cash in everything.
Parko, Mick, all of those guys, they grew up in that era when there was actually you could make a good living off the junior circuit.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely was. And even because when I first started writing for all American sponsors and I had an American manager and everything, everyone was like, oh, you're a tradie, Seppo lover, and you've got a Seppo boyfriend and you're a Seppo lover and all this. And I was just like, well, I don't really care because I'm making – the dollar was 46 cents, the Aussie dollar.
Oh, so you were getting
so
US money sponsorship.
Double. And I remember Rip Curl in Australia were like, well, Adam Sharp, so we were, we want to sponsor you. And I was like, oh, well, this is my contract. I'm going to get Vans, you can match. And he's like, we don't even pay the guys that. No way, you're tripping. I'm like, yeah, well, that's fine.
Sick. Well done, girl.
So I just went over there and went, look, this doesn't last forever. I'm going to go where the money is. And they treated you amazing over there. Like, Bud Light was epic. They just, you got to sit on a concert with Sting doing a, concert for 300 people, and you got to go on all these cruise ships and go to the Bahamas, and they'd get like 50 Cent or whoever to do a private thing on the island. Like it was full rock star
actually living the
lifestyle.
dream. Yeah, full rock star.
It was epic. Yeah, super fun.
That's cool. Now, not only did you have the rock star lifestyle, but you also did a bit for charity, the Serena Brooke Foundation in the US. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, I ended up starting that charity up with my manager, because I was spending a lot of time in the States. I had all American sponsors, and so I sort of wrote into my contracts with my sponsors that, you have to, as part of me re-signing with you, whatever, you have to donate to my charity. So then I would run, when I was over there for the Huntington event, I would run a charity event. That was like Courtney Cottlog's first contest.
Oh, wow.
Stuff like that. She was posting a picture the other day, and it had her and me, and she was this big, and it was her first comp. So getting all those girls.
So it was basically to get the girls into surfing.
Get the girls into surfing and raise money for the charity. And it was all just like kids at risk groups, and then, we'd donate the money to like women's shelters and, domestic violence and kids and, all that kind of like sort of stuff like that. That's where we'd give all the checks to and whatever. So it was just a way for me to give back, and I knew that I was in a position to do that, making good money, and I was there anyway, and I was like, so, there was all the infrastructure. They'd set up a huge event, and we just have it on the other side of the pier at Huntington.
Very philanthropic there, young lady. That's
and then we did
cool.
them also in Jacksonville. We did them over on the East Coast as well. So that was classic over there, doing those events over there, with the grits and gravy and what y'all doing, and just, it was a classic. So, I just tried to give back in little ways that I could, and stoke out the groms, and, give a bit of, I'd always kind of do a side trip in different places, even like me and Steph, because Steph was still on tour when I was on tour. Sally was on tour, Savannah Lima. So there's still girls that are on tour now that when I was on tour, because they'd just come on then, and we'd go to the favelas and we'd shoot stuff and give them a board. And, I was looking at some photos the other day when Steph and I went to the favelas in Brazil, and I remember we were walking in this giant thing of like power cords just dropped down right before Steph and I, and we were like, whoa, like if that dropped on us, because, they steal the power off the, it was sketchy as in there, but there's some pretty epic photos of us in there. We just basically gave a board and then got the heck out of there as soon as it got dusk. We kind of had an escort in there in Rio, and it was pretty epic to see and go up in there. But I always did side trips, side events, charity stuff. I did stuff.
But that's good. It's kind of good
Peru,
for the soul,
everywhere.
Isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
It's good for the soul because, like doing something like that, people underestimate how doing something for charity makes you feel good. I've done a couple of things, and you sort of leave and you're sort of filled up inside in your heart.
Exactly. Yeah. And when you're in the position, I remember I was sponsored by Crocs, and everyone was teasing me. This is before Crocs were cool. I was the only one.
Are they cool or not?
Well, I don't know. Everyone thinks they're cool now. They're in every surf shop, and everyone has Croc charms and stuff, including my kids. But I was sponsored by Crocs, and we went. I actually did a trip with Steph Lane, Sophia Milanovic, and all that. We went to Peru, and we were all going to Machu Picchu. We got to climb Huayna Picchu actually, which was rad, and we did some side trips to the kids' orphanages over there, like the girls' orphanages, and I got Crocs to send 200 pairs of Crocs, and you'd give them all out at the orphanages and stuff like that, and so we'd do trips, but then we'd I always tried to incorporate something within it, where you could go and give back to where you were. So
where did you think you got that sense of charity from?
I think it's just, I'm a pretty grounded, humble person. I grew up one of 6 kids. We didn't have a lot of money. For me to even, get to the Aussie titles and all those things, I'd go after school and sell raffle tickets, Beach Beat donated me a wetsuit. I'd go around after school and high school and sell raffle tickets to try to get to the Aussies and stuff like that. So I didn't grow up with a lot of money or anything like that. And I just knew, it's such a in life what goes around comes around. I give boards to kids. I gave a board to this Costa Rican girl, Elizabeth Vendos, who actually was at the Masters titles, and then I ended up going back and staying in Costa Rica years later, and she was the Costa Rican champion.
Oh, how cool
and
is
that's
that?
How we'd met at Huntington. Yeah, gave a board there. Just all that kind of thing. It's you get back what you give tenfold, and just I don't know. That's just the kind of person I am. You can always be a better person and give back, and I always, even when I was 18, I sponsored kids through World Vision, and then I actually sponsored a kid through Plan, and I went out to Lima, another trip I was there because I'd go and spend some time in Peru with Sophia Milanovic and train and do stuff over there, and I went and met his family in the desert, and the whole school put on a show for me on stilts, and they showed me this one tree that they had. It looked like Mars. We're out in the middle of nowhere. And I went to the family's house of the boy that I'd only seen a photo of that I sponsored, and they'd never been out to a restaurant. I took them all out to lunch and gave them stuff, and just, I don't know, it's just cool. It's just experiencing different things in life, and outside of I always knew that, it's great to be a pro surfer, but there's so much more in life than being a pro surfer, and who cares if you surf good or you're the garbage man or we're all the same. So.
Yeah, that's what my dad brought me up with, that kind of sense that everyone's the same. Now, we see Tyler Wright on tour now, flying the LGBTQ flag. And I know you're a big supporter. Would it have been a lot harder to do that thing back in the day when you were on tour, do you think, or is it more accepted nowadays?
I actually don't even know what the end of the LGBTQ, whatever it's turned into now. Yeah, probably. I'm sure, like, the whole world's a completely different place now.
Yeah.
Like, the whole world's gone to extremes, if you ask me.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know. I just don't even enter into any of it. I just
I step away from the car.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's great that everyone gets to do what they want to do, but you know, like, it's definitely that was a whole nother era, and no way any of that would have been happening. You probably just got kicked off tour and got given twos for every wave, you know, back in the day. Like, if you want to be honest, like, that wouldn't have been happening at all back in the day. It's a whole nother world now. Like, we didn't even really have social media back at. Remember the MySpace when that first came out? I was on tour when MySpace first came out, which was a classic. But it was just it's a very, very different world now. I'm actually very grateful that I did the tour when I did. Yeah,
because it was money. Yeah, it's a different tour.
Just, I don't know. I feel like the kids these days can't even, like, be silly and make a mistake and do something without someone filming them, and then they lose all their sponsors, and they've got that against them for the rest of their life. Like,
well, glad they didn't have mobile phones with cameras when we were around.
No, well, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
You could be an idiot and a young kid and get, like, I basically learned how to drive, and then I was, like, in Europe driving on the wrong side of the road, or I was just, you just had to work it all out real quick. But very good thing there was no, there was the old film cameras, but people could get a hold of those and rip up the film if you really needed to. But,
I used to take them out with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, let's talk mum stuff. You and your partner went on the journey to have children. You were the mum. Now, gorgeous twin daughters. How old are they now?
They've just started high school. They're in year 7. So,
oh, my God. Where did that all go?
I don't know. Yeah, they're 12. They've just turned 12 in January. So, that's been a big journey, and I've basically been a half-time mum because broke up with my partner when the kids were 2. So I've just done week on, week off since they were 2, which is kind of great because it allows you, time to yourself as well and do trips and everything.
And you're still busy,
yeah? Yeah, I still try to, surf and do trips and have fun. But, being a mum's awesome, and the kids are doing really well. And they're not super into surfing. Like, they like surfing, but one's a drummer. The other one, plays the piano and guitar and violin, and so they're sort of in the music academy stuff at Sunshine Beach High School at the moment. They've just started there in the last month, so it's pretty epic. It's definitely I'd say it's the most challenging, hardest job I've ever done, being a mum. I remember when I found out I had, because I wasn't going for twins, so I was just like, 36, so I'm going to have one go at IVF. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And because they said you don't have any eggs, your chance of having a kid is 1 in a million. I just went, one, I'm doing it once, and first go, bang, twins. Panicked. Did a scan. They're going, there's one. Oh, there's another heartbeat. I was just like, whoa, I don't know what to do with one kid, let alone 2. Help, God, what am I going to do? But I worked it out, and it's all good.
And they're gorgeous young ladies. Now, how far did you surf? Like, because I know there's a lot of girls out there and women out there that are surfing, and they hope one day to get pregnant.
I had 4 months, so I tapped out at 4 months.
4 months.
So it was like, I had twins, and I was tiny when I got pregnant. So it was just like,
you always have been tiny.
Hard rock. Well, I was way smaller than I am now. And I just had this hard rock, and I was like, oh nah, I'm taking off on the rock at Tea Tree, kind of skidding along on that, like, no, this is not probably the best thing to do. So I sort of just probably around 4 months, because it just was uncomfortable for me. I wasn't really longboarding and paddling on my knees or anything. I sort of just cruised and had that time. I mean, it goes pretty quick,
Yeah, I know.
It's only 5 months really out of your life, and then
But still, 4 months is okay. But I've known some women, well, they've only got one though. They've gone right through to term, and they've been telling me they adjusted their paddle style and everything.
Carissa, I think, still surfing, and
what's she now? 6 or 7 months?
Oh yeah, at least. She's probably, I don't even know if she might have even had it. I don't know. She's getting close, and there's a lot of women that do that, and all the power to them. I just was a little more conservative, where I was like, look, if someone board hits me, or I've got twins,
and you had that 1 in a million thing too.
Yeah. And I just was like, I'm happy to just go for a swim. It's not the end. I can surf my whole life. Like it's not a big deal. It's like getting an injury and you're out for a few months, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that's it. Yeah. There's a lot of people had longer than that out.
yeah, exactly.
Now, what are you doing at the moment? Do a bit of coaching for Surfing Queensland was the last time I saw you in the national titles.
Do a little bit of surfing for Coaching Queensland, not a lot. Do a bit of stuff for the HPC. I did Lane's camp recently, and I was doing some hospice work, like nursing up home. And I've kind of done a little bit of everything: renovating houses, flipping houses. I don't know, bit of nursing, bit of coaching, bit of everything really. To be
doing
honest.
a lot of surfing still, though. I still
as
see
much
you.
surfing as possible. Yeah.
Because I watched that Rivals one. It was a bit rough for you. You had Sunshine Coast Beaches.
Yeah,
to surf.
I blew that thing.
Yeah.
Like I was in mum mode and I think I left it to the very last day, and it looked good, but then literally it was a closeout, and I didn't really even get any waves much for that. I think I got third or something in it, but I was like, should have got pump and noosa for that. I wish I could redo that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyways, it was fun. It was fun to just shoot it.
That's good. Now, we're talking about the young girls. Now, where do you see women's surfing going in the future? At the moment, I think that women's surfing is sort of like going at 45 degrees and
definitely.
the men's is at about 30. Like, women's surfing's amazing now. Some of these young kids are like crazy good.
Yeah, actually, I was saying to Skaz last night. I was at Skaz's house last night. I was come down for the night, and I was trying to explain to her when I did the Aussies over on Australia. I think it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
There's one chick, she's got a really good style, and I'm like, what's her name? And I was trying to work it out, and I was like, it was Miller.
Yeah, Miller Brown.
The one who's just won the the natural selection. So I was going to Skaz, get her on the program down at the HPC and get her on the camps and everything. And she was ripping. That was a couple of years ago. But the level is crazy, and it's almost like, like me and Skaz surfed Cabarita yesterday, and there was a little girls squad out there, and they were like all of 6 or 8. There's about 5 of them, and they were ripping. And I think it's I don't know. It's something about what I see is like with the girls, the way that women's hips are really flexible in different areas to the guys are, and just like even now doing the airs and the way they're surfing, it's just it's a level that's never been explored before, and it's never had the opportunity. So to get them in and train and the same opportunities at that age, like I think this next 5 years is going to be nuts, like Sierra, like just all of them just charging. They're so young and they're so good in the air and just big barrels, everything. So I think it's like the sky's the limit. It's so impressive and it's so fun to watch and be a part of, and just be out there looking at them and going, this little kid's 6 years old and she's just done a full roundhouse in my face. I love it. I think it's fantastic.
Well, that's like in Burleigh Boarders. We've got 2 of the girls that are on the program there with the HBC, Charlie Haitley and Isla Huppert.
Oh, yeah, I know. I've coached Isla and Charlie. Done stuff with both of them, they're rippers.
Yeah, they are rippers, and they're like it's so funny. Like they surf better than most of the boys at the same age, and they're ripping, and it's just great to see that now it's the whole thing's opened up, and I believe that women's surfing, there's, we got on the tour, we've got equal money now, right?
Yeah.
But I reckon what's wrong, we haven't got equal numbers, because seeing all these young girls, it just is just in Australia.
Yeah.
There's enough quality surfer girls to have the same number as the men on tour, I reckon.
Yeah.
That's got to be the next step.
Yeah, I agree. And then even some of the ones, I was looking at a young girl, like the one girl from Tahiti, have you seen the tiny Miss Chopu girl that?
Oh, no.
What's her page? It's Miss Chopu, and she's about, 9 or something, and she
At
just
Chopu?
charges slab toe, like gets fully barreled at Chopu, stand-up barrels.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, little Miss Chopu, her name is. So there's and then there's another girl in Portugal who's amazing. There's like Kira Gould in Tahiti. There's so many of them, just like we've got tons of talent in Australia, but it's literally the same thing is happening
around the world.
Around the world.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's going to be really exciting. It's heaps of fun to watch.
Yeah, well, that's
awesome.
it, and I think we've got to get the equal numbers. There's no doubt. I know they're
that's for
increasing
sure
the women
stage.
to 22. We'll even drop the men back to 22, and maybe if it's a money thing. But couldn't you hear the spews going on?
Man? You might have your car tyres down tonight, Tappa.
I've already had my car scratched a few months ago, but that's a different story. But it's great to see that the women are going, and like, to be honest, girls of your era were the ones that started breaking down the door, and yourself with like getting sponsorships in the mainstream, really? Because I remember like years and years ago, like you'd have they'd go from men's heats to women's heats.
Oh,
and the beach would empty.
Oh no, it was crazy. I remember like my first years on tour. I think we were in a heat in Lacanau or somewhere, and Sonny Garcia and that went up there, and it's just, like conditions changed and it was shitty, and so we were out, and basically they went up there and started, fly kicking the judge's door, like, we want to go out, it's gone offshore, get the girls, and they literally stopped the heat, like,
no way, stop the heat.
In the middle of the heat, come in, we're sending the men out.
That's shit.
Yeah, that was just how it was. And we'd just be like, oh, my God, you're not even going to let the heat finish. Like, in the middle of the heat, it's 10 minutes. Yeah, it was just like the boys would just be blowing up.
Because I know I'd be doing bells, and next thing it'd go to crap and the girls are out.
Oh, yeah. That was pretty standard for a long time. I remember actually being in England, and I made everyone sit down because the boys said we're not going out, and there was a big fight. Yeah. And we were supposed to paddle out, and I sat down on the beach and said, no, everyone sit down, we're not paddling out. And then we wouldn't, and they were going, paddle out. And I was, don't you fucking get up. There was like 4 of us, and I was like, and then they just went, burp, it's off for the day. And that's all it took.
Yeah, just someone
us to stick together and not one of the girls go, no, we better just go out. It's like, no, we've got the power here, So that kind of stuff, and the whole things of even like, Rochelle Ballard's husband, Bill Ballard, started making those first girls movies, and then we had all our own women's magazines. We had Wahine, and we had all the, it just shifted, and the whole thing. Lisa brought out the first women's board shorts with Quicksilver. Yeah. Then Roxy was making more money than Quicksilver.
Exactly.
So then they were paying the male athletes with all the Roxy revenue and still giving the girls bugger all. And then Rusty brought out board shorts, and then obviously the rest is history, because it just became this just conglomerate of money and a whole part that was just not even tapped into, Like, I remember my first years, there was no girls' boardies. I was wearing, like, hot tuna boardies down here going, oh, God, I wish there's, that's how we came up with the let's make some women's boardies, Like, it was just that era. It was just wasn't even, it was just so, it was the way the world was, It's just male-dominated. And
now the world's changing.
Yeah, exactly. It's a whole nother world. It's a whole nother world on every level. Like, just, we're in, it's changed more in the last 20, 30 years than it has in the last 500 years, probably. Like, it's
pretty interesting sometimes when I think it was even at Pipe, sometimes the girls actually got better waves than the guys. Yeah, that was pretty cool to see.
Because they'll set a schedule, generally, a lot of times, and then they'll run with it, where ours, they used to just go, like, I remember actually at Chopes, and it was a year that I think Richie Lovett got a big gash in his head there, and it was horrible Chopes. It was like 6 to 8 foot, like the wrong direction, just 9 out of 10 waves closing out, just big, windy. Yeah, and now, like, the boys, it was funny that the boys were going, send out the girls. And we're like, send out the boys. And there was just this fight. And we ended up getting sent out. And Lisa basically drowned, and Raymana had to, like, find her and pull her up by the hair. Then Chelsea got stitches in the next heat. I think I got hurt. Like, it was just terrible conditions, because everywhere was a closeout. And then they're like, Chopu's too dangerous for the girls. We're going to take it off tour. And it's like, that's because you sent us out. It's 8 foot closing out and windy. Yeah. Like, give us a wave that's not, like, just out of control. Like, none of us wanted to surf it. Yeah. The guys got hurt too. Like I said, that was the year Richie, I think, cut his head open. But it's just, it's another world now. And thank God, it's like we're not in the dark ages anymore.
It was pretty good, the Roxy Pros, though, at Fiji. You got the island to yourself.
Yeah. Oh, it was epic. It was just, they had Namotu and Tabarua, and, it was just, everything was laid on. It was epic. And then we had a lot of events, J-Bay, just so many good times. Brazil, so many good events.
What was your favourite ever event of all time? Probably one you won or something, or not?
Obviously, you love the events you win.
Yeah.
I remember they had the Roxy Pro here, and they took it to Cabra, and Cabra was pumping.
Oh, that's I think the first time I commentated you. That one, the first ever Roxy
I won
Pro.
And then they had a QS the next day, a 6-star, and I won that as well. So I was just like, thanks, Cabra, cleaned up for that. I reckon those OP Pro boat trips that we did, like, they were just epic waves, and it was with like Andy Bruce, I think Rob, Sonny, like, it was an epic crew. They were really fun events. I always loved J-Bay. I won in Japan. That was good, but probably like my most memorable contest and winning was my first CT, which was it was pumping Hossegor, yeah. So, but I don't know. I love so many different ways.
What's in the future for Sauce?
Probably just the same thing I'm doing now. Is keep having as much fun as possible and raise my kids. And I don't know. I actually did my real estate license last year, so I'm gonna have a meeting this week with someone about maybe doing a bit of that too. I do a lot of different things to keep life interesting and not boring.
I'd buy a house off you.
Yeah.
You can talk.
Sure.
We know that. Oh, well, you know that too, yeah.
Not as much as you.
Yeah, no, I don't think anyone can do that. Hey, Serena, been awesome having you on the Green Room. Thanks, mate. And
no worries.
Love it.
Happy to be here. It's been fun.
You. Boom. Thanks for tuning into the Green Room. A big thank you to our guests for sharing their stories and insights, our producer Sarah, and Podfire for bringing this podcast to life. Don't forget to subscribe, like, leave a review, and share the Green Room with your friends. We'll catch you next time for more conversations with the legends of surf and beyond. Until then, catch you in the waves.